Hi all, welcome to a new session of Azure Data Factory. This is session 22 and in this session we are going to look at Get Metadata activity. Now Get Metadata activity, as the name suggests, gives you the metadata of a file in your pipeline. Now what is the metadata? Metadata is information about your data. So suppose you have a CSV file, you can consider metadata as the name of the file, the extension of that file, when the file was last modified, whether the file exists or not. So this kind of information is called as metadata. Now the use of this information is very much when we are creating a data pipeline. So for example, if you have a trigger file that you want to check whether that file exists in the storage account or not, if it exists, it is going to trigger your pipeline, otherwise it won't. Similarly, if you want to check the extension of the file and based on that you want to perform some conditional logic, suppose if you have a parquet file, then you want to do something else, and if you have CSV file you want to do something else. So all those kind of things can be done if you have the metadata with you. You can also provide metadata based on your requirements in copy data activity. I will show you, I have always already explained you that, but I will now show you how it is related to this activity, Get Metadata activity. Okay, so let's go to our Data Factory studio. So I am right now in my Data Factory studio, and this Data Factory studio has all our previous pipelines. Okay, so in order to give you a demo on Get Metadata activity, I will create a new pipeline, but before that let me show you one thing. So if I go to any pipeline and if I go to copy data activity of that pipeline, so let me go to my append variable. Yeah, so in this, if you see copy data, and here if you go into sync, you can see we have metadata as an option. So you can create your metadata here and it will be visible in Get Metadata activity. Okay, so let me create something. I'll say key 1, value 1, key 2, value 2, something like that. Okay, and let me publish it. While it is getting published, let me go to my resource group, and in this I am going to go into my Azure Data Lake storage. So in this I am going to go into source, and in source I have variable input. You have file1.txt, file2.txt. Okay, what I have done, I have changed file1.txt. Okay, now if you click on file1.txt, if you come down, you don't have any metadata here. Okay, so you have metadata but you don't have any values. Now let's go to containers. In sync, in variable output, I'm going to delete both of these files. Okay, and now I'm going to run my append variable pipeline. So let me trigger this pipeline. Remember, right now I have added two key value pairs in metadata section of the sync of file 1. Okay, so let the trigger run. Okay, file 1 has been copied. Let me wait. Let us wait for the pipeline to get completed, and after that we'll go to sync and check the pipeline. Pipeline is successful. Now let's refresh the sync, and if you go and check the file 1, you see you have key 1 value 1 and key 2 value 2. So likewise you can give your metadata, and based on this metadata you can perform the operations in your upcoming pipelines. Okay, so now let us go and create a new pipeline. So I'm going to click on new pipeline, and I'm going to say pl get metadata. Okay, pl get metadata, and in this I'm going to first put a get metadata activity. Okay, now I'm going to say get metadata of file1.txt. I not cannot put. Okay, so file 1, keep everything as it is here, then go to settings, and here you have to pick the data set. I'm going to say folder path variable output, it will be variable input. Okay, here, so I'm going to say variable input, and I'm going to say source, and in variable input I'm going to use file1.txt. Okay, now this is going to be your file from which you want to pull the metadata. Okay, so here what I'm going to do, if you see, you have all these values. Okay, so you have child items, you have column count, you have content md5, exist, item name, item type, etc. Okay, so right now I'm going to use just exist. Okay, so it is going to check whether this file exists or not. Similarly, I'm going to copy this one and create get metadata activity of file 2. Okay, so here I'm going to change to file2.txt, and it is going to be the same like it was for file 1. Now I'm going to say if the value exists. Okay, so let me use a set variable in order to show you. Okay, I'm going to say set variable file1 exists. Here I'm going to use a new variable file1 exists. I'm going to say boolean confirm, and in value what I'm going to say output exist. Okay, so whatever will be the value of the output dot exist, it is going to be assigned to this variable file1 dot exist. Okay, similarly I'm going to create a copy of same activity and point it to get metadata of file2, and in this I'm going to change the variable name. So here I'm going to use file2 dot file2 exists boolean confirm, and here I'm going to say file2 dot output exist. Okay, so this is the simple pipeline. I will tell you how to use the get metadata activity to perform something substantial, but right now I just want to show you how you can get the metadata out of get metadata activity in a variable. Okay, based on these variables you can again go ahead and perform certain operations, and I will show you all the different types of get metadata output. Okay, so right now we are looking at very simple output, that is exist, and after that I will also show you child items and etc. But for now let's go simple and let's focus on exist. Okay, so let me just publish. Okay, I think I should change the name so that it is not confusing. I will say file2 exists. Okay, publish all. Cool, so this is our pipeline. Now let me trigger it, but before triggering let's just validate if everything is okay. Yeah, there are no errors, so let me go and trigger the pipeline, and let's check the pipeline. Fine, as you can see our pipeline is successfully completed. Now if you go and check file1.exist, the value of it is true, and if you go and check file2.exist, again the value will be true. Okay. Now, in order to verify whether our pipeline is working correctly or not, let me go ahead and rename the file. So instead of deleting, I'm just gonna rename the file, and I'm going to say file 3.txt. Okay, save it and go back again, trigger the pipeline. Okay, so here if you see, our pipeline is now running, it is successful. Now it should not get file 1 because we have renamed it to file 3. So if you go and check, it is false now because the file 1.txt is not anymore in the location, and file 2 exists. Yes, it exists. So using this, you can create your pipeline where only if a certain file exists you want to process it. Okay, so exist option gives you the flexibility to check if the file exists or not. If it doesn't exist, do not do anything. If it exists, then perform certain steps. Okay, now this was get metadata exist property. Now in the next session we will look at another property from the remaining set. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me in this session, and let's see uh, another property in the next session of get metadata.